It's unique in the fact that I had to live with him. You think about time spent with your coach, and I was in a unique plan. I started playing high school football when I was in 8th grade. I'd walk up from West and play up here, and I got to play 4 years of varsity with my dad. So I was with him, having him be my coach for all that time, but we also rode to school together. Then we had class together. Then we had practice together. Then we had dinner. Repeat cycle all the way through. And in the summertime, we just worked at Nobles together. And then we had summer Lipton from 5 to 8. So I was with my dad a lot. And I'm so happy for those moments. And I think it speaks volumes to him that I wouldn't have it any other way. That I look back on that. When you're with anybody for that amount of time, you're supposed to not like them. They're supposed to irritate. My father is so relaxed, and people don't see that side. It's so easy to get along with, and because of that time, I feel like I understand him so much, and had a unique perspective, insight into the coaching, to what being a rebel is all about. Because for me, it started at such a young age. And you take example, we talk about the 212 wins, and it's about that, and winning helps everything. Nobody would follow, or we wouldn't be here today if my father, we lost a bunch of games, right? But a lot of people win some games, but it's the culture. It is the culture that became Walpole, this community, what it means to be a rebel. We still all use that word, being a rebel. And I was born into it, and by the time I came along, things were rolling along. And I look back on my memories when I was a kid. I remember I went to Camp Wano at 8 years old. Talk about being shell-shocked, about watching young men being tortured and whatever. But back then, it comes down to that trickle-down effect. Is a player back then were my heroes. And I got to see these guys. I rode on the bus when I was a young kid with Chuck Grant to games. And then Chuck ends up taking over for my dad. He was my coach, then he's a coach here, and then he's one of my dad's best friends. Now he's one of my best friends. And that's all what happens with Walpole football, all through those memories, and you look to those kids, and we're picking teams on the playground. I was Mike McKay. That's who I wanted to be. Mike McKay was my hero, and it's my 10-year-old, my 10th birthday, and we're playing at BC, and there's the Super Bowl against Brock, and Mike McKay gets hurt, and I'm crying. That's what it means. It comes down from this culture of these kids that you wanted to emulate, that they meant everything to you. And when I was walking through the halls, I started walking like this, and I walked that way because that's how Mick Farinacci walked. And as far as I was concerned, Mick was the coolest guy in the world when I was in 5th grade, and I wanted to be Mick Farinacci. And you start to understand what you want to be. I knew then when talking with those guys and being around those guys and seeing how they treated, I wanted to be a rebel. I didn't even like football. I was a wimp, and I wasn't sure how that was going to work. I wanted to be a rebel. I wanted to play football, but I didn't know how to play football at the time. And it stems from wanting to be part of that bigger thing. It's more than just football. It's a part of, you want to ride, when you become you get that game jersey, you know that you're part of a long lineage of people, that you're part of Rebel Nation. You're part of that something big. You get to ride through the center of town on a flatbed truck and have this on you, and you're a hero. For 4 years in high school, everybody treats you good, and you feel great. And more than that, it starts to really spread through the community. People who don't understand football or say, sports are this and that, they don't get it. What it did is, my friends and I, we were not A students by any stretch, but we all loved high school. We took pride in it. We liked our teachers. We liked our principal. You make a tackle, you get up, somebody says, yeah, kicking. You look up, it's your principal. We cared about our school. We cared about our town, and we didn't get in trouble. Nobody got detention or anything back. If you did, Mr. Cantrell will get you out.
He's here.
I had 1 hour. He saw me in there. He's like, what are you doing in there? Like, I don't know. It's a mistake. But, so you have all these things. You're around this program, and you're feeling pride, and you've been around this work ethic. And then you're released out into the world. And you have this rebel pride, you have this rebel way, it's an expectation of how things are supposed to get done. And whether you go into business or you go into coaching, you start to spread that. You spread and teach what you know, what you've been taught, and deal with people the way that you were dealt with. And you know, there's a lot of us who have actually tried to go on in coaching, and you take a look at those guys that have played for my dad, myself, and I shouldn't even start naming, but like Alma and Oki and Dale and all these guys that are out there coaching. Wass is coaching with me, and Bates and all these guys. You know, of course, Barrett taking over, and it's why are we doing all this stuff? And it's football, yes, but it's that culture. We want to give the kids, like I know myself, I want to give those kids in Rentham and KP, and Dale wants to do it in Millis. We want them to have the memories, the opportunities that were given to us from playing for you, for all those great things that happen for us. We want them to look into their communities and feel what we feel about that. It's a very hard thing to explain, and you know, you take these guys, we're trying to spread it, you know. And I remember vividly, I bought a ring when I was in New York City. It was a Confederate flag. I hope nobody's offended by a Confederate flag. And you know, me and Eric Omberg talking about, like, look, we're the keepers of the flame. You know, there was, you had a few beers, and there was some tiki torch ceremony. And we're gonna do things the way we will always be rebels. We will, whatever we do, we're gonna do it the right way, the rebel way. And so when you see kids like in Millis, and when you see kids at KP, and they're saying KP pride, that's real. What they're really saying is rebel pride. It's spreading out. And you look at the press box, and it's beautiful, and it's made out of concrete, and it's going to be there a long time. It's a great physical representation. But what I want people to know is that, I want you to know that, is if there was no press box, you live on what you've done, what you've taught us. We all spread it through our kids, and you know, that's there forever. It's each day it's reborn. I already have a kid who played for me, who's coming back and coaching. It's the same thing. He is doing what you do. He doesn't know it, but that's how it works. That's how a legacy lives on, and that's what it's all about. I'm so proud of you. So proud to be your son. So proud to be a Walpole Rebel. I love you.